Screen visible?
Yes.
Thank you. So today's topic will be TIBCO BW. So BW is a integration tool we all know, and there are different modules or different applications used in this. So first of all, the contents that we'll cover is what is TIBCO Business Works, why it is used, and where it is used. Then we'll come on to the
Hello.
activities which are
Actually, we are not
XML
able to
and
hear you, Vicky.
okay. I'll be loud. Please let me know if I'm audible. Am I audible now? Am I audible?
Yes, Vicky, you
Hello.
are audible.
We are not able to hear you.
Can you please check your connections if you guys are not able to hear? So today's topic will be XML and XML activities. Some of the palettes like parse palette, HTTP palette, and JDBC palette. Since it is a demo session, I'll not be giving much of details here. We'll continue in our next sessions. So coming to TIBCO Business Works. So it is an integration tool where, for example, if I'm building a banking applications, so there will be a lot of sub applications in it, like collecting customers' detail, giving the card details of the customer, maintaining the loan section, everything. So what BW does is it will integrate all the applications and deliver it as a one to the customer. Okay. So since this is size independent, for example, if I am starting my bank with 100 customers, in future I might have 10,000 customers. So TIBCO BW does not have any memory specific thing. It will expand as the need increases. Okay. So there are various definitions and interactions which says that this application will go ahead and interact with different kinds of applications and databases. For example, we have a JDBC palette, so that helps to connect with third-party applications like the Java databases. Okay. Second thing is like there is a automation of business process. I told you like when we are gathering all the applications together, we need to do testing also. So those testing and everything is done automatically. There is a option called run or debug. So it will debug the errors. You just have to go ahead and go check the mapping if it is correct or not. The next thing is like we have handling the exceptions, the errors, and transactions of the web services. So there are reports generated for the errors which we get. Okay. And one by one we can go ahead and check what errors are there and how to debug it. Also, there are various interfaces for the graphical representation of on how to configure the application services. There are different plugins for the connectivity issues also. Okay. So why we are choosing BW? As we all know, if we go ahead and try to write a code in Java, it will take us it will consume a lot of time. We have to write n number of codes just to go ahead and read a file. However, in BW it is just drag and drop. We have palettes called file palette. We need to choose from there, and we have to first put a start process and end process, and after that we have to put this file and connect between this. So in the read file, when we double click, we will have a lot of options, like if you want to read it as a text or Excel sheet or anything. So we can choose our mode of the file, and inside the file we will have another option which is called as input. So we will give input to the file and store it to a different place. So you can see this consumed just 2 minutes of the time. However, writing code in Java takes much longer than BW. Okay. So the previous example told us that there is acceleration of the application development and the deployment cycle. However, these services are reusable, okay, in the whole process. For example, if I'm using the read file in one of the process, I can go ahead, copy that, and if the read file is required in different part, we can just drag and drop it into a different location. So this might be little confusing today because we are not doing it on the tool. So later on, when we have access to the tool, we can go ahead and it will be it much easier. So there are features of BW which supports the standard protocols like HTTP and HTTPS, file transfer, uh, the database connectivity, TCP, and messaging services. So we all know that there are various messaging services like IBM MQ, which helps us to transmit messages. So messages can be of different types, like one to one, one to many, and this is what BW supports. So also we have web services capabilities which support the SOAP and uh, SOAP over JMS and HTTPS, and we'll be using the information technology which is best suited for the scenario. For example, customer says that they want a simple program which will help us to create a calculator. So we just have to create a file, read the file, and uh, get the output. So that is very easy when we have hands on the tool. Okay. So there are so we'll come to XML. So in XML, I would request everyone to go through this topics today. Like XML, we can you can get all the details in W3 schools. Okay. And XML is the base of TIBCO BW, because it is designed to describe the whole data which is running the TIBCO BW. And these are like software and hardware independent language. Any system can understand XML, like Java, C++, anything. So any language will be independent of the XML. And one of the most important technology for business integration is both inside and across the enterprise. So XML can be used for internal connectivity as well as connecting to different enterprises. Okay. And there are different activities of XML which are like parse XML. This will go ahead and process a binary XML into a XML string or turn it into a XML schema based on the XSD specified. So these things might be little tough to understand today. However, down the lane, when we go ahead one by one, it will be very easy to understand what is parse XML doing, what is render XML doing, what is like a transform XML, what is XSLT. So there are different things which we will learn in later classes. In BW we have lot of palettes. Like in the beginning of the session, I told there are file palettes, there are JDBC palette, there are parse palettes. So one of them is a parse palette. So this will have couple of sub palettes, or how it is defined is there are few palettes like formats which is data format, and that data format will contain the specification of the parsing or rendering a text string using parse data. So again, this will just go over the head today, since it is a new thing which might be faced by some of the participants here. Okay. And as I said, there are various roles and messaging services. So one of the communication services is EMS. So EMS is an enterprise messaging system which will be used to communicate between two applications. So in EMS, it uses some implementation of Java, like JMS, Java Messaging Service, and whatever service specifications, it will follow the Java details. And some of the features like load balancing, routing, fault tolerant, it's all added in the TIBCO EMS. Load balancing will be like if we have one server, and there are a lot of incoming messages, like the customer is trying to input a lot of text or a message in that particular application, that server will slow down. So what load balancer will do is it will reroute to a different server where the service does not slow down. Okay. Likewise, there are benefits of EMS. So one of the most prior benefit of EMS is like it reduces the cost and complexity of the integration between different systems, and also it has a capability of providing a greater service which can be reused again and again. Okay. So do you have any questions until now? Team, anyone has any questions? I'll take that as a no. So as I told, there will be a couple of palettes. So one of them I already explained. The next thing is file
I,
palette.
I do have a question, Vicky. Hello. Sorry
Yes,
for
please
stopping
go.
you. So yeah, Vicky, like, so in our course, in entire course, like, are we going to start with 5.6 and then 6, or else will be starting with 6 version, BW6?
So we'll start with 5 because it has a lot of stability. Okay, and then we'll go ahead and implement 6 because there are very few differences from 5 to 6.
Okay, okay. Thank you, Vicky. Yeah.
Welcome.
And we will start with all the installation steps and how to install and everything, correct?
Yes.
Okay, okay. Yeah, thank you.
So I'll once the class gets started, since it is a demo session, I'm not giving much deep details. However, once the class starts, we will just go in a systematic way, like first installing, then going ahead creating a small file, checking how it is working, and so on. Okay.
Okay, okay. Thank you, Vicky. That works. Thank you.
Welcome. So, like as I told, we already came over parse palette. So the next palette is file palette, and as we can see on the right hand side, it will have like various options of creating a file or copying a file polar. So we will go in depth one by one what it does and how it works. Okay. So these are the contents like copy file, create file, file polar, list files, all those things. And once we get into the details, what each module from that palette does, it will be explained. So like for example, I'm explaining one of it, which is a copy file. So as we all know, this a copy function can be used to copy file. So here in BW, it is very easy. We just have to go ahead in the um, file configuration file and see. So whatever name you want to give, it will be editable here. And once you click on the input, we will have this screen. So there will be global variables defined according to the need of the project. But since we are doing a copy file, like we don't have to input any global variable or process content. We can just go ahead and give the file name and to where we want to copy. So while copying a file, we copy from folder A and paste it to folder B. Likewise, you all can see that when we go to input here, it will have an option in the activity input that from where we are copying it and to where we are going to paste. Okay. Likewise, we have create file and then file polar. So file polar will we will be needing it throughout the process. And file polar is a starter activity, like it detects any changes in the file at the particular location. For example, in folder A, if I have a file named ABC and during the process the file name gets changed, so this file polar will go ahead and tell us that there is a change in the file. So we will get deep in the upcoming classes. Likewise, the next thing is like list files. So in a folder A there will be a lot of files, so we can go ahead and see through it. Okay, so we'll not go in details today because you might get bugged as it is a demo class. So next thing that we'll come across is group and HTTP palette. So you all know that HTTP and groups will be used in web services. So these are like helping us to go ahead and connect with the web services in the application. So uh, there will be application layer protocol which will be followed by HTTPS, and basically we will have to assign a port number so that we can go ahead and connect with that particular web service. Okay. So there are various HTTP um, palette which is used throughout the process. Some of them is to receive, some of them is to send a request, some of them is to get a response. Okay. uh, so this is like an overall view for HTTP. However, the next topic would be groups. So groups, as we all know, like in general term, is like if we are having a collectivity of 100 members in a team. So if we want to form a group, like, so we will divide that particular population or the team into small groups, so that there will be like sub processes divided. So basically, if we want to create a application, we will have to divide ourselves into groups so that each of them can handle each a sub part of that application, and later on we can go ahead and integrate everything to get a whole application. So in groups, we will have these actions, which is iterate. So if we want to go ahead and create a process where it repeats itself, so we'll go ahead and use the repeat until true. So there are a lot of things that will come across. I don't want to create a heavy session today by giving much more details. So I'm giving very less details on each of it. And one of the most useful activity is a mapper activity. So here what we will do is mapping for example, if we are creating a file and we want to assign it to a different process having the same activity in that particular process, so mapper is used. So this will add a new process variable into that particular process, and it has or there are complex elements in this. There are inline schemas, and mapper activity also adds a new process variable into that particular process definition. So you can see here, when we go ahead and create, we'll just so at the starting we just have to put a start and an end, and in between, when we want a mapper data, we'll just put this map data. When we open this map data, we will have something like this. So you can see this is a input editor. Okay, and inside the customer details, already we have name, age, gender, id, address. So this is the input editor. Once we go to the input, we will have something like this. So you can see we clicked on input. So here in mapper, we just have to drag and drop. So first name will map with name, age will map it with age. Again, last name we have, so we will map this to name again. So we don't have to write any code. This is just drag and drop, and this is the best thing which is going on uh, for the people who don't want to go deep inside coding and all those stuff. Okay, so as I told, you can see this has been mapped likewise, and in this right hand side, for instead of writing age, you can just write the numbers and give the inputs. So whatever input you give here, it will take it, the other process will take it as input, and it will process the output uh, with the input that you have provided. Okay. The next thing which comes is statements. We all know there are a lot of statements like for, else group, with choice, and continue. So here, when we are giving the, or when we are mapping the data, in the right hand side, inside the activity input, we will have a feature called statement. So if we want to go ahead and put any if statement, like if the age is below 20, just go ahead and discard that particular request. So likewise, we can use all these statements depending on the process. And the next thing which is important is the variables. So there are like four types of variables, which is like global variable, process, shared, and job shared. So global variables, by name itself, it says that it is used throughout the process, and process variables is only used in that particular process. And likewise, we will go ahead in the upcoming classes. uh, Next thing which is important is the Java, JDBC connectivity. So these palettes are basically used to connect databases throughout the application. So in this, we will have when we open the palette for JDBC, we'll have activities like JDBC query, update, SQL direct, call procedure. So this will be explained down the lane. Okay. The next thing is SQL. So we deal with JDBC, and if we need to pull any record, we are pulling a record to go ahead and update something, so we will be needing SQL. So I think everyone will be familiar what SQL is and how it functions. If not, then I would request you to go ahead, have a study session from W3 schools, which will be very much helpful to understand the basics that we are going to use in this. Okay, so any questions on TIBCO BW until now? Team, anyone? Any questions?
Yeah, Vicky, this is Murali. Yeah.
Hi, Murli.
So,
Yes.
hi Vicky. So, in our course, like going forward, we'll be covering one second. We'll be covering all the palettes, or like specific to any documentation. Do we like as per the documentation shared by TIBCO BW, like
So there are a lot of palettes, and first we will go ahead prioritize which is the important palette, okay, which is used on a regular basis,
okay,
and we will cover all of the palettes, okay. Depending upon the priority, we will be segregating it like file palette. So this is the most important palette and JDBC palette that we have discussed. So these are the palettes that we will cover at first, okay, and slowly we'll cover the rest.
okay, sure. And how about interacting with REST services? Since like by default, BW5 does not provide any support, right? So do you teach us to have a plugin, REST plugin, and do that for us? I mean, like,
Yes, I'll take it in the next classes. Also, there is the container edition that needs to be explained. So, if you guys want, I can go ahead and give a small session on the container edition, which will help us to get a connectivity in the API and other REST services.
okay,
So,
okay, that
let me quickly go ahead and give a brief explanation on the container edition, which was the next topic for today. Okay,
okay,
so here there is a different version of TIBCO BW, which is the container edition. So, as the name says, container edition, there will be a container. Like we all know that containers are used for carrying small substances. Like in cargoes, when we see a ship carrying a container, we by default a visual path is created that there will be something contained in it. So container is a space where different applications, different things are contained within it. Okay. So what is TIBCO BW container edition? So container edition, it is a middleware tool which is used for cloud integration. As we all know, there are different types of cloud these days, like AWS, Azure, and so much other. Like even TIBCO has its own cloud. So in this BWCE edition, which is the container edition, it is a cloud integration basically, which is used to develop and deploy through the containers. So if you guys get little time, I would request you to go ahead, have a check what is AWS containers, so that you will have a basic knowledge or a basic visual how things work with containers. Okay. So in this container edition, we will have the process how to build the consumable web APIs out of the web services like SOAP, REST, IBM MQ, like messaging services, SAP, etc. Okay, and the build focused will be on the functionality oriented applications without getting into a code complexity. So at the starting of the session, I told like we are using TIBCO BW just to avoid getting into coding, because this is like just drag and drop feature. So here BWCE also supports like EMS, file transfer, spaces, API exchange, master data management, and other business events. Okay, so I'll just zoom this. So you can see like the container edition is in the center, which is kind of a container. Okay, and there are a lot of features like integration, API management, cloud native, and the 12 factor applications and other microservices. Okay, so here we will use like this container edition to get into Dockers. There will be a lot of applications for continuous integration, continuous delivery. Basically, the way you use your CI/CD applications, it is similar, like creating, pushing it, and then integrating it again. Okay, so there are 8 features in the CE, which is much more advanced than TIBCO BW 5x or 6x. So CE, which is a container edition, is API centric development for supporting the platform as a service. Okay, and it is very lightweighted, like it does not consume much space on the system, basically on the cloud. So it can be deployed on various platforms like Kubernetes, Dockers, which are again AWS features. So my only request for today would be kindly go through what is Kubernetes, what is Docker. It is easily available on AWS websites. Okay, so the next thing which it focuses is agile service. We all know that this is these days we are mostly using agile, because there are a lot of requirement changes day to day. So there is two process which is involved in the development. One is the waterfall model, one is the agile model. So we are using agile, so that the requirements does not get freezed, and we can have hands-on easy way to go ahead and make changes. So TIBCO BWCE provides a support development cycle on this IDE, and it supports all the stages of development, like testing, bugging, deployment, uh, in the or throughout the process. And also container edition supports the mobile devices. So Murli, as you said, there are a lot of plugins, to get connected to the mobile, to send and receive messages onto the various devices. So
Okay.
yes, there are plugins which is used to integrate or communicate with third party applications as well. And the fifth thing over BW5 to CE is it gives automatic warnings, so you don't have to set up any warnings. In BW5, if we want to monitor, we use Dynatrace or Hawk. So these are the monitoring tools that we will be using in BW5 and 6. However, in CE we don't use any monitoring tools, because it provides automatic warnings. Okay, and the next thing is creation of REST services using Swagger and other REST services. There is SOA introduced in the concept of various exceptions. Okay, and PwCE also offers like handlers and sophisticated models for defining the scopes within the exception handlers. And last but not the least, there are concept of properties with variables and process variables also exist in one process, while there are properties for that particular process instances. So this is a lot of details for today, so we'll take it slowly so that no one gets confused. Okay. And the next design feature in container edition will be like, we'll go ahead, we'll have the guide how to install it, and check the plugins, or check for the file palette, what is the concept of rest and json. We'll read it, or we'll go through it one by one. Okay. You can see how the deployment works. So this is a cloud. It can be any cloud like AWS or Azure, and based on the foundation, we can first we'll go ahead, check what kind of dockers we are using for the cloud container, if it is Kubernetes or Dockers or any cloud foundry. And later we'll have to do the continuous integration and deployment. After that, it will also have like a repository. TIBCO has a repository like eDelivery or the GitHub. Basically, CI/CD is done through GitHub itself, but here in Container Edition, we will have that feature. And also, it provides a runtime component to deploy all our applications through it. Okay. Okay, so we have pretty much covered lightly that what is container edition, the advantages, the life cycle, and its features. Okay, so basically, BW Container Edition will help us to connect through APIs, REST, making it as a a service which is basically used for cloud edition. Okay, so this will be all for today. Any questions on TIBCO BE, BWCE, like container edition? Murali, anyone?
Yeah, yeah, Vicky. Yeah, I do have a question. So, so when we start learning towards moving towards container edition, so then like we will touch base with BW6 and then moving towards container edition, moving towards container edition and touching
Correct.
about,
Mhm.
yeah. Do
So
we?
the last question that you had is like BW5 and or BW6. So we'll start with BW5, take some of its contents, move to BW6, and then container edition. Okay.
Okay. Okay. So, is there any prerequisites for us to go through basics of Docker or Kubernetes, anything, so that we can deploy in Docker on any other platforms?
Yes, so that is the reason I requested everyone to go ahead and check, or when we start the classes, okay, I will be giving links so that everyone can go through that link, just to understand what is Docker, what is Kubernetes. Okay, so
Sure.
I am also a cloud engineer with AWS, so I'll be providing the links. However, I will also explain how the Docker works, how the Kubernetes works, how it functions. Okay, so that it will be much more easier. Also, I would request you all to go ahead and have a a quick session, a learning session, so that you also come out with questions which we can discuss in the classes. Okay,
Yeah. Sure, Vicky. Yeah. Thank you.
thank you.
And
Anything else?
can you explain what is the
Hi,
difference
Vicky.
between 5 and 6?
So 5 and 6, there are few features which are different. Like in 5, we were using the Java messaging services, and in 6 we are using enterprise messaging services. So enterprise messaging services also is a Java messaging service, but it is a advanced version. So similarly, there are few changes here and there. There are like feature changes, UI changes, but the basic, which is there in 5, which is there in 6, it is the same. Like how we are creating a process, everything. So also, the next thing which comes is support. So a lot of companies are using BW6 now. For example, my company is using BW6, but last month they wanted to come back to BW5. The reason being the support charges. So if you have a organization, or if you are running an organization, okay, we will definitely need a support for this TIBCO. So the support cost, some of the companies cannot go ahead and afford it because it is too pricey. First thing, okay, and second thing, in the previous versions, some of the supports are free, or the charges are less. So a company sees everything and then chooses the version. Okay.
Sure, Vicky. Actually, that works. Actually, more since like most of them are working on BW5 itself, so it will
Mhm.
be great help if we start with BW5 and at the last we transition to 6.
Yes, we will go step by step. Okay. Any more questions?
So when are we starting the sessions? I mean, like, is it a daily batch or like do we have a weekend? I mean, how does it goes?
So that will be discussed by the visual path team, okay, and it will be shared to all. Like, uh, so we still need to discuss on that. By the end of the day, we will discuss, come up with a plan, and let you guys know. Cool.
It's good.
Okay.
Hi,
So
Vicky.
everyone, hi,
Hi, I'm Divya.
hi Divya.
Yeah, I have a general question.
Uh-huh.
How can I expect the experience of a zero knowledge person on TIBCO?
Sorry, Jira knowledge.
Yeah. If a person is with zero knowledge on TIBCO, what will be her experience or his experience? I mean, did you get my question?
No.
Yeah,
Sorry
I'm
for
a
that.
beginner actually.
Okay.
So, um, how can I experience this? I mean, I'm searching for a job, but I want to go through this platform. So,
So, Divya, in the starting of the session, I told like we are using TIBCO BW just to avoid coding, okay? Because there are
okay,
drag and drop features which will make our life easier, and we can do the same thing. Like application development is done through Java coding as well as other codings. However, we are doing the same through BW. So if you are having zero knowledge, or you are starting as a fresh, so you will gain knowledge how to do it, how to create an application, okay, and using this certification you can go ahead and find yourself a job. There are many companies who are hiring for freshers, okay, and definitely this will help you in your future.
okay. And will we go through the real-time experiences? I mean, examples?
Yes, we will. But this since this is I'll have to figure out how to go ahead and get the TIBCO software, the BW software, because this is my personal laptop, and I don't have the software. So I'll have a check with the Visual Path team, okay, and definitely we will go ahead, along with our learning we will have a real-time experience also. Okay.
Okay. And one more question, Vicky.
Hmm.
I have came through that different organizations will have different types of deployment ways. I mean, how they deploy the code. So,
Hmm.
will you explain that? Like some of them, at least.
Yes, we will. Um, are you talking specifically on the BW deployment?
Yes, yes, BW deployment
Yes,
5
we will
and
cover.
6.
We'll cover all those topics.
Yeah, thank you, Vicky.
Welcome. And team, I would also request everyone that since some of are working in organization, and for example, if you are having hard time to understand what is EMS, what is JMS, and topics, such topics, so I would request everyone to send their topics so that that can also be addressed during the class. Okay, so basically, if anyone is having trouble understanding what it is, what that particular topic is, so please send the topic one day in advance, so that we will go ahead and address all those things, so that it becomes easier and clear. Okay, any more questions?
So Vicky, I joined a bit late. Could you please let me know like what all topics will you cover in this training?
So we'll okay, let me share it again. So this was a demo session, so I covered all these topics today. What is XML palettes, types of palettes, EMS, HTTP, mapper activities, JDBC concepts. Okay, and
So these all are related to BW5.x, right? I
five and
just
six.
want to know like yeah, what all topics will you cover under CE, BWCE?
So CE will have the containerized applications like Kubernetes, and Docker's, how it works, how the REST functions, how APIs work. Okay, so and the deployment, the design of or the design in BWCE, all those we will cover.
Will you make the real-time project practice here?
Yes, we will go ahead, check some, have a working session on the real time also.
Okay. So I just want to speak with you something like one-on-one, not here in
No.
the meeting.
Uh-huh.
So is it possible?
You'll have to contact a visual path, and
Yeah, here itself I can speak, but if it is a separate bridge or if it is a separate room, like one-on-one, I have some like related questions, CE related questions. So will you cover those? Will you give me a clear, like a clear cut things on that? So I just want to know that. Based on that, I can
so,
join.
so yes, so that is the reason I told everyone to bring their topics wherever they are having difficulties, so that everything can be addressed for everyone. For example, you said you have few questions on CE, so I would request you to bring it up, and one day or 2 day in advance, so that even I can get more details on it.
More, yeah, more of the
And
things I have questions are on like exceptions, errors that occur during the project validation, or like what are the there will be a list of errors, right? While we migrate from 5.x to CE or 6.x. So will you explain all the listed errors, how the error
we'll
will
try
be
to
resolved?
yes, we will try to cover the errors.
What is the type of error, how it will be resolved, dependency issues, anything, all that?
Yes, so as I told, we will be covering like one by one each and everything.
is there the curriculum here? What the curriculum you are covering?
You'll have to get in touch with Visualpath.
Mhm. Okay.
Any other questions?
Can you show the BW6 topics?
So BW5 and BW6 are pretty much the same. Okay, it will have similar contents like this. Still, there are a lot of contents since this is a demo session, so I have not included everything. However, these are the the most used or the high priority contents.
Mama తినవా బిక్కి బిక్కి దా ఎత్తొచ్చి
Yes, Raj?
దాంటే దాంటే వచ్చే కన్నా మమ్మల్ని తినమంటే వచ్చే మమ్మల్ని తినమంటే వచ్చే
So,
మమ్మల్ని
any other
తినమంటే
questions, team?
ఏమైంది ఏమైంది
And yes, again, I'm telling it to everyone that whatever topics you want me to cover, okay, please bring it up so that we can have a discussion on that. Okay.
Okay. Okay. Okay.
So we can, since anyone like no more questions, the team has, we
Yeah.
can wind up this
I
session.
have a few questions, Vicky. Will you
Mhm.
explain the creation of modules, shared modules, and the creation of all the like shared module
Global.
uh, global?
What? Yes, I will be covering those topics. So, as I explained here, there are like global variables, shared variables. So everything will be covered.
Okay. Is this the only session, or is there any other another one demo
This is
session?
the only demo session.
Mhm. Okay. Can you show me the topics that what all like apart from that what all you will cover, like global like shared modules or any uh, context related work or any like properties related like module properties or all this kind of related stuff.
So variables will be covering all the four variables in
This
BW.
this is
Okay.
this is specific to BW5.x, right?
Yes.
Yeah, I just I'm asking I want related to 6 or CE related.
So I haven't prepared the presentation for 6 and CE. However, we'll go ahead and cover that as well.
Okay.
Any more questions?
So, do we have demo for BW6 sometime soon, or
Like it is pretty much the same. So BW5 and 6, I gave a session today. It will
okay?
have all these things. So pretty much it is same. Just 1 or 2% there will be difference. Nothing much. Like
Uh,
as I said.
if you don't mind, Vicky, can you quickly walk through the slides because walk through the demo what you are doing from starting because just joined 10 to 15 minutes before. If possible, only can you quickly like not detailed enough. So just 5 minutes of quick explanation is enough. Can you do it possible if
Well, I'm already running out of time, so I can send you the slide via Visual Path. Okay.
Okay.
and it can be sent to you.
Yeah, actually, just I didn't see those slides like which are processes you are added right on the slides. So
Uh-huh.
those slides I am just one asking you to just make a walkthrough like that.
So
Or
I'll
else
get
if
in touch
it's
with
sure,
Visual
sure.
Path.
Okay.
Okay.
Mhm.
Sure.
Okay.
One more question, Vicky. So when are the actual training sessions scheduled? Do any batch dates or timings?
The Visual Path team will get back to you like on the timings and sessions.
And who will be the trainer?
I'll be the trainer.
Okay, okay. Any tentative date like this month, next month?
This all you need to discuss with Visual Path, like the timings, the um, you know, the sessions. They will help you out. So we are still in a discussion. Once it is finalized today, mostly by tomorrow it will be communicated to everyone.
Okay. So I just joined like 5 minutes before. So I
Mhm.
just missed your introduction part. Are you a full-time trainer or you're this is a part-time thing you're doing? Any details you want to share?
I'm not allowed to share any personal details.
No, no, I mean only regarding the training, your training experience and
So I'm giving a part-time training. I'm a full-time developer.
okay, okay. And how long have you been giving these trainings?
It's been some time.
Okay. So is this your first training session with Visualpath?
Yes, with Visual Part it is first.
Okay, okay. Thank you. Yeah.
I just want to know, have you worked on CE, Alex?
CE, I have just started.
Okay.
Mhm. But since the concepts matches with Amazon Web Services, so the deployments are easy.
Yeah.
As I can say the concepts for Docker's, Kubernetes. Also companies are using it on Azure, so that is also a new thing on this CE edition, like edition.
Mm. Yeah, I don't want any runtime like runtime things. I want to know like development things only, C development things. Bit like
Okay.
six products and C are similar. I
Mhm.
agree with that, but there were slight differences while coming to the adapters or applications or plugins. We don't call it here like adapters, plugins, and those kind of things,
Plugin
right?
manager, yes. Yes,
Yeah,
that
so
is like minor changes in sixth version. However, behind all those things, the concept lies the same.
okay, okay, got it.
Okay, so let's wind up this session. Okay, any questions? Please get in touch with Visual Path. Okay, and by the end of the day, we will share how the sessions are going to be scheduled, the timings and everything. Okay, thank you everyone. Have a
Thank you,
great day.
thank you, Vicky.